What is going on, all of my history lovers? So we're going to start doing probably another series, another World War II series, and this is going to be like not really an oversimplification of World War II battles, but I will be summarizing World War II battles going forward. This is something that I really kind of enjoy and was thinking about doing for the last couple of weeks, because this is something that I kind of have an idea with a new video style I want to try. If you guys like what we're going to be doing from here on out, please do let me know. If you don't like it, you can also let me know. I would love to do a series on battles of World War II. There's a lot of them. I will kind of separate this out: Eastern, Western, Pacific Front. Some of these videos will combine a couple battles into one, kind of just because it flows really good that way. Like, there's a handful of battles in Poland that are just like, okay, this one lasted like an hour, and then the next battle was in the next town over and it lasted like 3-4 days, and then I'll combine those two into one video. So the best way to kind of kick this kind of series off is, well, the first battle of World War II in Poland. It was the Battle of Westerplatte. Now, Germany, before World War II started, you know, annexing a lot of territories, people were just kind of trying to keep Germany happy by like, okay, well, you want that country, you can have it. A lot of people saw Germany's aggression a little bit ahead of time. They were kind of anticipating a war at some point. Nobody really wanted a war, especially a large European war again, but it was in the back of everybody's mind. Now, Poland knew, or kind of knew, that they might be the first target. And, well, they had a celebration coming in. So there's a small territory in Poland, the Danzig. It was kind of its own independent thing inside Poland, and the police and stuff could kind of act on their own. Now, Germany had a celebration to attend in Poland on August 25th, 1939. And the dreadnought, the Schleswig, was going to be there in Danzig for the celebration of a German battle victory in World War I, Tannenberg. That was the battle. Now, this battleship would have 200 Marines below her deck that would be waiting in surprise for Poland and what would start World War II. So now we're going to transition over, and we're going to use the battle map going forward as we talk about the first battle. Okay, so what we have is the battle map down below. I'm using my phone down here so I can keep track of everything. So day one, which September 1st, 1939, the battleship left the harbor. You can see it right down here. The battleship would leave the harbor and enter into near Westerplatte after leaving Danzig from the celebration. And it's debated a little bit, but at 4:45 in the morning, this battleship, the dreadnought Schleswig, would launch a broadside attack onto Westerplatte. Now, nothing would actually really happen. See, they wanted to use the large guns on the dreadnought. The large munitions, though, could not arm themselves by the time they hit Westerplatte. So there would be no damage caused to the actual Polish defenses because none of the arms went off. No casualties, no nothing, no damage at all. But Polish commanders would radio out an SOS, "I'm under fire," after the initial bombardment failed, letting surrounding bases know Germans are on the move. Now, this is not the only German attack to actually kick off World War II. This is kind of what people see as the first battle. There were many raids going on along the border of Poland at this moment. Like, it was an all-out frontal attack. This is just what many consider to be the first battle. Now, Marines would leave the ship, and as they left the ship, a few hours before the bombardment, they would start making their way up towards the prom encampment. Now, Germany had scouted the peninsula a couple of times with aircraft, and they weren't really expecting much from Poland, but they would actually be ambushed by Poland and some machine guns that they had encamped right there at prom. And it would create a kill zone because you had prom and the encampment right next to them, killing the Germans right here, because they also laid out barbed wire in front to slow German advance, because you'd have to cut through the barbed wire and clear it out so that your soldiers could move freely. So they would try to push up, but it would be unsuccessful because of gun nest. And now, because of the ambush being successful here, they would also take the time to use mortars to attack the warehouses down here that they were using, the Germans were using for their own gun emplacements to raid down fire across the harbor. But Polish mortars would fire on them, basically kind of suppressing them. Couldn't really see if they destroyed the warehouses or not. I couldn't find that one out, but I'm sure they probably took out a couple of emplacements right there. And then they would also open fire on the battleship with the 37mm gun. This would cause no damage to the battleship. The battleship did not have any casualties on it that were caused by Poland. It did have a few, but it was mainly user error by Germany. You'll see this whole campaign in Westerplatte was German blunders. It's amazing that they actually got as far as they did in the war. Now, during this skirmish, Staff Sergeant Wojciech on Poland's side would be killed and described as the first Polish casualty, and some would say the first casualty of World War II, although I'm sure that's not true because of Germany being ambushed early in the conflict. I'm sure a German soldier probably got killed, but nobody reported it that way. So that one's up for debate. Now, at 6:22 that same morning, the Marines would start to withdraw, and the casualties would be 50 Germans and 8 Polish at this time, and they were mostly wounded. Very few actually killed. Now, a longer bombardment would start at 7:40 and last all the way up till 8:55. This would end up knocking out the field gun that laid down the fire on the battleship and the warehouses. And the Germans would again assault from 8:35 to 12:30. This time having to pass through mines that they laid out and barbed wire and the same machine gun nest that they were just at. So this small area would still be under attack going forward. They would try to push through, but it didn't work again, and the German would be forced to retreat again. And this time you'd have 4 Polish killed, several wounded, 16 Germans killed with 120 wounded. And that would be the first day of the battle for Westerplatte. Now, in the following days, Germany would bombard this peninsula just non-stop with artillery rounds from 105 and 210 millimeter howitzers. They would not let up on this place for a couple days. Now, on the 2nd of September, from 1805 to 1825, for those who don't know, military time, that's 6 o'clock in the afternoon, there would be 2 air raids that would occur from 60 Junker Ju-87s bombers. They would drop 26.5 tons of explosives onto the peninsula. They would end up destroying the Polish mortars, and then they would destroy guardhouse 5 right here, and then they would kill about 8 more soldiers. On the 4th of September, so you got a couple day break. I mean, they didn't really get a break. We got to keep in mind, artillery is going nonstop. A German torpedo boat, the T-196, and a minesweeper would also surprise the Polish and come in for an attack that, from what I could find, did not really do any damage to the peninsula at all, but it would still surprise the Polish that these 2 ships over here would come in for support. Now, on the 5th of September, the Polish commander, Sucharski, would hold a conference with his officers for a surrender. Now, none of the officers actually wanted to give up. Although the outpost has survived longer than expected, as of right now, the outpost has gone on for a couple days from September 1st to September 5th. So you got 4 days of constant fighting right now. This little outpost was only supposed to last 12 hours. At this point, Germany is kind of really pushing to Poland. I'm talking, you're right outside of Warsaw at this point. So supplies and everything for this peninsula are really low. And some of the wounded are starting to get gangrene. So it's kind of bad on the peninsula right now. So they would hold another conference the next day, trying to convince the other officers that, hey, we've done our best. We can't keep out much longer. Now, this conference would still not result in a full surrender, so Germany would try to do some scare tactics. They would try to launch in some trains from the railroad tracks into there and try to scare Poland, but the conductors that they had driving these flaming trains into the base would both fail. They would kind of get the load off the train before even entering the peninsula. So none of it was successful. Instead they would burn up a lot of the tree lines in the area, which didn't really help them at all. So 4:30, 7th of September, Germany plans an actual land assault again, and they open intense fire that would be lasting until 7 o'clock. So you have 2.5 hours of constant bombardment again. You have the warship launching an assault again. You have Germans equipped with flamethrowers heading into this base that has been badly beaten for several days in a row. And with this bombardment, they would actually destroy Guardhouse Tower 2. And then they would heavily damage 1 and 4 as well. So the only guard tower that hasn't been touched at all is number 3. So it was getting rough. Their defenses were severely weakened after this bombardment. So after a couple of hours, when the assault was over, at 9:45, the 7th of September, a white flag would appear in the middle of the peninsula. And Swarsky would surrender the post to the German commander Klaukamp. And the Polish garrison would be forced to march out of the base at 11:30. Over 3,000 Germans would participate in this assault. You had many stationed on the battleships, and then you had several hundred who participated in the land attack itself. Now, to put some numbers into perspective, you had 60 German aircraft, you had a torpedo boat, a minesweeper, and you had a dreadnought, all on here, with 3,000 soldiers. Polish defenses on this base, average guesstimation by most people, is between 150 and 240. This is basically like the Battle of the 300, but for Poland. And in the end, there'd be 50 Germans killed, 150 wounded, Polish, 15 killed and 40 wounded. Westerplatte would fall. Germany would not do much with it as the war continued. It'd basically just be their own defense outpost right after this. Mean Mustache Man, the Austrian painter, would show up for a quick celebration after Poland was fully taken over, but that would be it. It would basically just stay the same. And that is it for the first battle of World War II. If you guys like this style of content, drop a like, comment what battles I should do next. We don't exactly have to go in order on battles, but I'm going to try and keep it in order, and we're going to visit all three fronts as we continue. And I will see you guys later.